Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. This is Christine, also known as Lady Moon. Today is a great day to explore new things in the crypto space. So, we are here live at the segment of Job.com, the TrendLine. It is a Web3 podcast where it consists of interviews, discussion, and any updates on the Web3 space. So, tonight we have a special guest from TipTop where we will talk about the project, their features, the roadmap, and things that could help us understand more about their project. So, without further ado, let's welcome the Chief Strategy Officer of TipTop, Mr. Graham Leach.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
Yes, hello, Mr. Graham, and he is, by the way, also a professor, so we can call him Professor Graham, right? So, yes,
Sure.
how's your evening, Professor?
Well, it's fine. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a few days now, so I'm glad I'm here.
All right, this is great because we will be able to know more about the projects. This is very interesting. So, without further ado, Professor Graham, we will go ahead and dive into the questions, okay?
Sure.
Right? First of all, can you tell us about TipTop and how did you get to the idea of creating this project?
Well, I was hired into TipTop in December. But the project was started in the summertime, and it's the brainchild of two brothers who were um, kind of stuck together because of the pandemic. And what they started to do because they couldn't go out and they couldn't socialize with people except with each other because they were living in the same house. So what they started to do was go for long walks and talk about things. And I think what ended up happening was they said, well, why don't we, is there any way that we can just make this activity something that anybody and everybody could enjoy, going for long walks? So I think that what happened was they started looking into what had other people done around this concept, and they ran across a few. There's been a few out there. One of particularly large one was called Stepin, and I think another one was called Roadblocks. And the issue with those two projects is they didn't have correct economics. So what they ended up doing was they ended up these two brothers. One of them is named Mendigas. He spearheaded the IT development of a fitness tracker application that also keeps track of your movement on the earth. Like you have to go outside and walk. I think that was a major part of the whole concept. But they came to me and they said, can you please come and help us with our tokenomics and our economic model?" And those are two different things, right? The tokenomics is kind of like a snapshot of how the token economy is going to either look on its first day or its last day. But it's not dynamic enough. One of the things that I do is I specialize in business models and sustainability. So I've been working with this project to try to identify revenue streams, monetization strategies to give it a more sustainable story, particularly because Steppen and some of the other move to earn projects don't seem to have sustainable or if it's hard to say sustainable because they're not that old. So it's very difficult to say if something's less, for instance, less than a year old, whether it was sustainable or not, because sometimes projects rise from so-called, in sort of rise from the ashes in a kind of way. So you never say never, but it's not nice to see projects crash.
Yeah.
And that's certainly one of the things that characterized the step in. They lost 90% of their audience. Uh, and that's hard to recover from. So I'm trying to figure out a way to help TipTop avoid that fate.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that answer. And since you have mentioned, yes, there is actually a lot of other apps or projects as well with the same as what you have right now. It's the Move to Earn app. And as you have mentioned, with regards to the test or the challenges that they experience. What do you think are the best strategies of TipTop
Mm.
that could avoid this kind of issues or problems in the futures as well?
Well, I mean, looking at TipTop just as a project from an intellectual point of view, I see maybe three areas. Oh, at least three. One of them is technical, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to launch a global product, and people, I mean, I see more conversations in the back than people see in the front from the website or from our public announcements. And I can tell you that we struggle a little bit with certain phone models. We struggle a little bit with, in particular, with regimes that don't carry Google products. So China has been particularly challenging for us. Huawei phones, Xiaomi phones, other distinctively Chinese phones. Another problem that we've pretty close to overcoming now is just moving the app through the approvals process at Google Play and the Apple. The Apple environment is really, really slow. I mean, we've been doing test flight stuff since the beginning of the year, and we're pretty confident that the iOS version of our tracker is going to be ready soon, but the date's not under our control. So we just keep pushing and pushing and hoping that whatever it is that we need to do gets done. It's so we had, in terms of challenges, just getting the application out into the world, we've got, as any company does, we've got some places where we could probably still make some headway. Although we do have a functional application. I mean, I don't want people to think it's not working. It is. But in certain places where, let's say, the carriers are particularly strong in terms of control over, or data plans can be quite rather expensive. We're seeing some people, reporting back to us that this might be an application that we need to keep in mind that their considerations are very real for them wherever they happen to be. The second one is the business model itself, right? I mean, we've got lots of examples of move to earn projects that have run into trouble in terms of being able to craft an economic story that seems to lead towards long-term sustainability. And the only thing I can say there is we're watching the failures maybe 10 times more closely than the successes, because they tell us a lot more about what not to do. Success stories, sometimes it's difficult to narrow down exactly where that success came from. Why do things go viral? Well, it's hard to explain that. Why are some things that are technically superior not the final choice of the market? Nobody can really explain this. Usually it's not one factor. It's a collection of factors that work together. It's like failures. Failures are almost never one single point of failure. Most systems, most people can recover from that. It's when you have two and three clustered together in a short period of time, that's when the weaknesses of a model are exposed. So I suppose we could probably say, seeing as the universe is kind of symmetrical, that success is also probably dictated by what's known as multiple causalities, or multivariate situation. But the easy way to think about that is, don't rest on your laurels and don't think that this one thing, this one measure you took, or this one offer you made, don't think that that's going to win for you. You have to be winning on several fronts. And I suppose the third thing is just the rollout of the organization and the company. It's a new company, it's young, it's going through its growing pains, as all companies do. There's been some surprise departures. There's been some people who said they would come who didn't come. There's people who came late. Nothing ever happens on time. We're trying to get this thing rolled out. But I've seen this a million, maybe not a million times, but certainly 1,000 times. And you just have to keep a sense of humor and keep moving. So far, we're looking pretty good for our top token release, which is going to be on February the 15th. Tip tokens are being generated by people and being accumulated by people even today. The application is available from the Google Play Store and hopefully soon from the Apple people. So in that sense, we're winning on a few different fronts because we've got a functional organization. We have a project that seems to have a good identity, a sense of form, purpose, and direction. And we've got an audience that's taking us on and working with us to try to make this equation work out.
Okay.
Maybe I should talk a little bit about what we don't know.
Yeah.
We're not exactly sure that we know what the successful economic story is. We've seen the failures, but many people point these failures out and say this is the cause of failure. And I've just explained that that's probably not true. Failure is multifaceted, and so is success. So I have to be honest and say we're still exploring the future in terms of defining the right economic model that would last for years and years and years to come because nobody has defined that model in Move to Earn yet.
So yes, well, thank you very much for those insights of yours and for being honest on the challenges that you're experiencing with this project. But as what I can see as well, it's just normal. In every project, it's not that when you have that first features or first out of the project, it's already a success. That's the reason here in our industry, in the Web3 or the blockchain, we have this system where when we present our project, I really do believe that the impact of the community or organization is a really big help for any projects that is trying to come out in this era. So
Mm.
the good thing that we have heard from you is that you target what are those failures, what are those problems that you're encountering, because you can never attain success without knowing what are those failures, what will be the challenges that you will be heading to. So that's a good point there, and the strength that you have point out where it's not all about a right away success. It's all about how you work along the process and the system that you have within this tip top. So it's really good, good start for everyone. And yes, also you have mentioned about the event that you'll be having on February 14, wherein you'll be releasing the top token that you have, right? Can you tell us more about the token, how the community or the user of TipTop will be able to utilize the tokens, or do you have any other tokens other than top?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to tell you. First of all, it's not going to be on Valentine's Day. I think it's going to be the day after. So I
Oh,
think it's going to be February 15, not
15. Oh,
14.
sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, I think 14 is a special day, so we're just going to wait a day. Uh, there's the token model for TipTop's pretty simple. There's a tip token, which is a micro payment, basically, micro payment token that's on the Binance Smart Chain and will be convertible to BNB. So that's a fairly straightforward means of transfer of value from us to our audience and probably in between audience members as well, because we have uh, intentions to build a fairly big in-game economy with merch, apparel, and if you were to use a game metaphor, maybe skins, maybe weapons, but we're just using shoes, right? So
Yeah.
you're just moving from one type of shoe to another, and we're really NFT oriented as opposed to like we're not a first person shooter or an adventure game. We're maybe more like a challenge game.
Mm.
So your level, if you wanted to look at it from a point of view of levels, your level would be moving your fitness level along. And some people want to be more efficient in terms of converting their effort into micropayments, which is what the tip token is all about. The other token is a top token, and that's just a governance token. But it's a governance token, and I guess you could consider it like in the way that Uniswap had to launch a governance token eventually, right? To do a few things. When Uniswap did that is because the original inventor of Uniswap created this decentralized exchange, but never figured out a way to make it financially sustainable for him. Like he never figured out a way to reward himself or build an organization. And then he suddenly realized that, oh, even a decentralized exchange needs a PR team, needs a operations team, needs to perhaps pay for server hosting and stuff like that. So he ended up launching a governance token. I think it's pretty much along the same lines. So there won't be a convert. I've been asked like, is there a conversion? And there's none of that stuff going on. Um, Very likely this is going to evolve into a DAO,
Mm.
is my guess. And what those governance tokens for DAOs typically confer voting rights at the very least. So you have a say in the way the community and ecosystem, its direction, its growth, its priorities. And for us, what we're going to do is probably look at the TGE as an event to form some capital so we can build the support team for the ecosystem. But I'm really focused on monetizing the ecosystem because the TGE and the you could call it the launch of the governance token. It's pretty much, it's like a large one-time event, and then there's a lot of little people coming in and maybe buying a token from Treasury, but you never get the sort of attention that you get from a token launch. So that's when probably a large amount of attention will be focused on that token. So you can't build a business on that. You have to have something like a little engine running behind the scenes, taking in or generating revenues to uh to pay for like just pay for daily things, let's say. So you can think of one as being like your startup capital funding, and then the other one is being a means of like just covering your day-to-day or month-to-month running expenses. And that's kind of what the purpose of those two. I mean, the tip token is within the live economy, and it's the transfer of value. It's the means of transferring value either from us to audience or between audience members. The top token is a means for audience members to have a say in how the entire ecosystem develops into the future. There's no there's no conversion between the two, but somebody could hold both if they were a tip-top audience member. And there's no telling what's going to happen with the top token in terms of its value because there's a finite number of top tokens, but there isn't a finite number of tip tokens. They just reflect the overall, you could call it GDP of the economy, just the money that's moving around in there. Although money is a difficult term to use, it's more like the value that's moving around within that economy.
Yeah, so regarding on those token, you have mentioned about the tip, since it is
Mm.
something that we can utilize within the application or the project within the economy. I would like to ask, is that something like an infinity token? Same like I don't know if you have heard the most popular game um, just way before the Axie, I just get to mention it, the Axie,
Uh,
like the SLP. Is it something like that, like an infinite number of tip will be releasing as well?
I mean, the tip token's a little bit like you could think of it as being akin to an algorithmic stablecoin.
Mm,
So they're just going to the amount of tip tokens just expresses the amount of value that's moving around in the economy. So
mm,
generally speaking, tip is coming in from the outside. So when people purchase an NFT from us, that funding goes into generating tip tokens, and then those tip tokens are used to incentivize people to go for a walk. And
mm,
the challenge for the person designing the economy is to always make sure that there's more tip tokens entering the economy than leaving it. But
oh,
that doesn't mean that the tip token goes up in value. It just means that there's more of them
oh, I
to
see.
move around. So I don't believe that the tip token should really tip token's a lot like USDT. I mean, it's just a way of moving a finite amount of value between two counterparties. It would be tricky for the token that if there's any token that's going to have price movement, it would be the top token because it's a fixed number, right? So if you were, I mean, I don't know why, but people tend to do this. It's one way of looking at an economy. You could say, oh, okay, we have 8 billion top tokens, let's say, and we have an 8 billion tip token economy, right?
Mm,
So that means that each top token is worth one tip token. And I would say, well, they're not convertible. However, you have voting rights over an 8 billion tip token economy. So they should have some sort of value, but that's going to be determined by the market. So that's going to be a purely sentiment-based valuation, I would say. But
yeah.
if you look at the valuation of the Uniswap governance token, that's been an interesting story to watch.
Yes, yes. Every token really have their own um, startup as well, and it's always with the help as well of the community. And actually, there's a lot of
Mm,
questions coming in on our comment sections. I'll just gonna
sure.
go through some, or I'll just gonna pick some of the questions here. It regards with the reward system. From
Mm.
Juan Carlos Ramsey, he asks if how can the game last longer and how to sustain the reward.
Last longer in what sense?
So,
You mean
um,
for a player, or through time for all players?
probably he's talking about the entire project. Like, let me, because he's just said how longer and how to sustain the reward. Mm,
I think what he's talking about is the sustainability question that we
yeah.
discussed earlier, right? So the one thing that we've done is we've only designed 30 initial levels in the game. Looks like we're going to have to design 99 levels. So we're going to have
Oh.
to add challenges. So in terms of just making that, like, he doesn't, some games you can finish them, like you're done. There's no more ground to cover. So what we're going to try to do is create challenges that may not be like you might, for example, right? You could be walking, let's say you're in Manila, right? So you're walking around, I don't know, some village, Salcedo village or something like that. And but you're in the game, you're not walking from Salcedo around Makati. You're actually walking over across the ocean towards Honda Bay in Palawan, right? There's no reason why the steps that you take in the application can't walk you to the moon, for example, which is one of our challenges. Now, that's a long way to go. So maybe you want to join a team and another team challenges you to see which team can walk to the moon. It's a quarter of a million miles. And maybe there's a reward associated with the with that challenge. So this is one of the ways to make it more economically feasible is what TipTop does is it hosts these challenges. So you have Team Luna would be a good name, right? So
Yeah.
Team Luna says, we're going to stake a reward. And the other team, right? So say they call themselves Pink Floyd because they like the dark side of the moon. So Pink Floyd and Team Luna are competing to see which team can walk to the moon first. And the team that does that gets the other team's reward. And we hold those two rewards. Of course, we're going to charge a fee for hosting, mediating, and judging that competition. So you can see how that can very quickly turn into a pretty active and robust economy where you have teams that specialize in a certain type. So you can have distance challenges, time challenges. You can have all kinds of interesting ways to express the healthy competition by definition between two parties. And I think that, that sense of healthy competition is a really, really big theme of Filipino culture. Badminton teams,
Yeah.
basketball teams, they're all over the place. So I think that the Philippines would really embrace something like that because I don't know, let's say you take 100 pesos, you throw it into the pot, and then if you win, you get somebody else's 100 pesos. So you've doubled your money, less the transaction fee, which is probably 5% each way. So you'd get 190 pesos in the end. That would be very fascinating to a lot of Filipinos because they don't see
Yeah.
a downside. There's no downside for them, and that's what would make us more sustainable over the long term.
Yeah. It
So
could,
more levels and more money. That's the answer I have
and a good
for
health as well.
this.
Yeah.
I always say that the side benefit you keep, the health benefits are yours to
Yes.
keep.
Yeah, that really is one of the main thing actually that I'm looking at is it's not all sometimes in creating or having a specific project when you are delivering it to the community, we really need to make sure that this could benefit not only through through the digital world but also something that they could benefit on their personal or physical daily living. So with
Mhm.
Tip Top, I could really say that this could really give, especially we from the gaming industry, most of the
Mhm.
gamers are really on the, uh, I think I could say almost half a day just sitting on the computer and playing the games. But having
Mhm.
this kind of projects, this is really so interesting that could benefit, give you a reward at the same time, give you a reminder for a good health. And yes, thank you for bringing up that out. But we also have some questions here as well. From Jay, Yay Jay in Inacob. He asked if what is the main transactions that TipTop tokens do, like how you will burn it just to maintain the ecosystem of the coin or the value of the
Well,
coin.
yeah, this is the deflationary coin question, right? So
Yes.
the way that the economy is designed, tip tokens only enter the economy if they've been generated through the influx of some other form of value. Remember, they're not going to I don't think it's a wise idea to speculate on the tip token price movement because they're an algorithmically stable store of value. Otherwise, you can run into all kinds of weird situations. You have to be careful
Yes, yes.
because we're selling our in-game assets for tip tokens. So if the tip token inflates or deflates tremendously, buying things from us either makes no sense for you or no sense for us. The only way it makes sense is if the tip token is treated like a USDT style
Mm.
unit of exchange of value. So I'm not sure speculators want to be jumping into the token side. The top token is a governance token. Maybe there's, if you want to take a bet on price movement, I would probably bet on that one more than tip tokens. But the place where I think you can capture quite a lot of value is the NFT speculation.
Yeah.
That's I think where you can really. So I think with using other video games, for example, right? You can, there's a great number of economic models that I found quite interesting coming out of video games. One of them is rental of uh, high-powered weapons. Guilds tend to do that. Another one is there's these people who just have figured out how to very efficiently level up a character or generate in-game assets. And they're in China, they're called ants. Some in other places, they're called farmers. But what they tend to do is they tend to just create these assets and then they sell them on the open market. And that's something else. So if you're looking for speculative opportunities, there's going to be a secondary NFT market that might be an interesting place to take a look. You might want to look at some wholesale bulk NFT purchases. We have premium, we have four types of shoe with varying rarities. We're also going to probably do collectors and special editions. So for those people who are into like rubber shoe collecting, this is a way to do that
Yeah.
in the cyberspace. And you can do well trading rubber shoes if you can get the right shoe at the right condition, the right size. There's a lot of variables, but it certainly is a thing, a pursuit of love for many, many people in the PI. So to answer his question, there is no inflationary or deflationary action on the tip token to, if that was going to happen, mint burn, it would be to maintain a certain value so people's tip tokens don't swing wildly back and forth and they can move that value around in their economy. Although, in the real economy, we're seeing the erosion of purchasing power. So, for example, I don't know if you've seen this graph, but there's a graph of the United States dollar at 1900 being at one. And then through from 1900 to 2023, the American dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power. And the reason why, which means a dollar in in 1900 was worth close to $100 today. Like you could buy that much. So I mean, a penny was a big deal in 1900. So even real economies run into trouble and all modern economies are running an inflation rate of 2, 3. Currently in the United States now it's 7%. So it's hard to say how your economy is going to work out when there's so many actors inside it doing things that you don't expect. And actually, I think that's a source of great innovation for us, is to watch the economy and see what people are doing, and see if we can't monetize some of the things that just kind of emerge from nowhere. But I'm not seeing us uh, to answer the question behind that question, which I think is more of a speculator type question. What we're looking for is people who want to go for a walk, earn a little reward, go on challenges, buy merch, buy NFT, get into collectibles, become part of this a community of like-minded people,
Yeah.
meet friends IRL, go on walkathons. This is kind of more of the tip top angle rather than I mean, if you want to speculate, there's lots of opportunities to speculate all over the
Mm,
place. You could become a forex trader, for example.
mm,
What we're hoping, as you mentioned to me in another call, is that we can encourage the forex traders and the esports guys
yes.
to get up every once in a while and do something so they don't develop blood clots in their legs because they
Correct.
don't move, right? So TipTop is that alternative. It's a healthy alternative, an option within the Web3.
Yeah, that's really a great point of view there. And it's just that maybe some of our viewers are just asking because there's a lot of projects as well upon the startup. Their tokens is really struggling. But with the point of view of TipTop, as you have mentioned, there's a lot of other features that you could look up into, not just only the specific token. So what I can see here on my
Mm.
point of view is that those tokens are actually rewards that you will be getting from the activities that you will be doing because TipTop is a move to earn app, right? We are involved even though you are within the blockchain space working in the web3, we are also interacting with the physical world, right? Correct? So
Yeah, it's called Phygital, I think,
yes,
is
that's
the segment that we're in.
yeah,
Okay.
phygital.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah.
That's the
I
thing
would
that
prefer to say I'd prefer to call it Fitgital, but okay, that's
digital.
fine.
Yeah, that's great. It's a good term that we could add up on the another
Sure.
term here in the Web3. And since we are already talking about all of these tokens and the utilization of it, I would like to know you do have a specific platform or exchanges where we're able to look up on the top tokens?
Well, I think we're within the Binance Smart Chain ecosystem.
Wow.
So I think that we're going to be looking at doing whatever we do, it's going to be done primarily, I guess you could say initially, I have no idea of how many exchanges we're in conversations with right now. And they all want to list, they're all desperate for business. They're all calling and saying, "Hey, you've got a nice project. We'd like to list your token." And we're looking at them and saying, "Hey, we're a decentralized, non-custodial, the next gen of projects. So why would we list on a centralized exchange with all the trouble that we're seeing very
Yes.
recently? You know, there's just story after story of centralized exchanges. The founder fake dies, runs away to Thailand.
Yes.
Founder pretends that, oh, I didn't know this was going on. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
$90 million is beamed from the, let shall we say, the insider accounts to parts to whereabouts unknown. And like I've been watching these goings on for quite a long time now. I was around when Mt. Gox got blown up, and it's always the same story. Loose controls,
Mm.
shady, or it's hard to say. With some of my students, I ask them this moral question, right? I
Mm.
say, if I gave you $1 million, um, and we flip a coin, uh, if you win, you get $1 million. If you lose your life. Would you play? They never say yes, ever. No student has ever said, and I'm talking thousands of students. No student takes that bet, even in theory. Flip
Yeah.
a coin, heads, million, tails, you lose your life. And I say, okay, flip a coin, heads, $1 million, tails, you lose a day from your life. Just die a day earlier. They all take that bet.
Yeah.
And so I say to them, it's not a question of yes or no, it's a question of how much. At a certain point, I think most people have problems acting morally when uh, there's so much money flying around. We see this with Sam Bankman-Fried. We're seeing it in the past with other people where the temptation is simply too great.
Yeah.
And it never start Bernie Madoff within the formal economy, right? So it
Mm.
never starts with a big thing. Even like the guy who took down Barings Bank in Singapore, it starts off with like a little mistake,
Mm.
and they cover it, but but they can't recover, so they make another little bet, which they think if they win they'll cover, and they can't cover, and then it just snowballs into a massive problem, and then you have people, you have entire, well, I think Gemini crypto lending just declared bankruptcy. 3 Arrows Capital is gone. FTX is gone.
Yes.
That was the second largest exchange in the world,
Mm.
right?
Right.
So it's called moral hazard. It's the question of moral hazard. And it's very difficult to take the temperature of your counterparty's moral hazard when it's not in your face. And often it's
Mm.
too late. So what do? Well, you watch what people say and you watch what people do. And if their actions are consistent with their words, at least then you know they're somewhat predictable. But we all know humans are expert liars at even lying to themselves. I mean, we've seen it in how many people, like, their friends are saying, she's not that into you, buddy. Or her friends are saying, he's not being faithful, my dear. And yet that person's standing there telling you you're a terrible person for accusing the person that you know is doing them wrong, right? You're the bad person somehow. Life is just so crazy. Anyways, getting back to the project,
Yes.
right? Like the crypto world is just swirling with all kinds of people who a lot of the time didn't fit into the formal economy. They're either too smart or they're hard to they don't like having a boss, right? Or they just
Mm.
look at the world differently, and look at what's happened. I mean, Move to Earn is, I think, a perfect example of the product of a slightly crazy mind. Whoever came up with that idea, pay people to move using a combination of a mobile phone application and cryptocurrency and a global audience in this highly virtualized economy where almost nobody uses their real name, right?
Yeah.
Uh, because you don't have to. It's a little like being inside of a very small portion of Ready Player One.
Mm.
You remember that movie when they
Yes.
put you in you're on that treadmill and you're moving around? If you look at the very beginning of that movie, there's a person actually doing Move to Earn in that
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Some artist came up with it, and then some engineer took that inspiration and created it. But neither the artist nor the engineer understand the economics. And that's the next thing that needs to be fixed because we have a very popular idea that's technically possible, but economically, we're still trying to explore and figure out a winning solution. But like you said earlier, don't do the lethal stuff.
Mm.
Don't do the stuff that we know it fails. So one of the things that we know that fails is when you start launching highly deflationary coins. There's only
Mm.
one reason why you would do that. You don't have a well-developed economy.
Yes.
And that when we're trying to develop and project an image of this is a bit like Fitbit, it's that's the world we would prefer to be associated with.
Mm-hmm.
We'd rather be a friend of Fitbit than a friend of FTX.
Yes. There's a lot of going on in this industry as actually we cannot really tell. So
Mm,
here in the crypto world, it's a lot of things that we need to explore still.
yeah.
It's a really vast of knowledge that we need to dive in. So everyone is, it's like something like they are panicking already. What's the project needs to be done? What are the funds that we need to collect? Something like that. It's like
Mm,
I, I can say as of the moment, while on the trial process, I could say that the crypto world is not on that stable as of the moment, right? So everything
mm,
is on the process of testing, trial and error. And I think the best way here in promoting your project is to survive the bear market and
mm,
actually have the most best team that you could ever have. So in sustaining your economic tokens, the execution of the services that you are providing with these projects. I do believe that will be the most important thing that you could stand out in any other projects. So
Mhm.
also, I guess some of the questions that we have here on the comment sections have already answered. So they are asking about the tokenomics and also the here we have a last one. I think we can get the last question. So, oh, okay. This is answerable actually, Juan Carlos. Project helps for the individual. It helps you actually physically and gives you a rewarding incentives by just having the tip top. It was answered already. So, yes, the roadmap, we can also review that one. You have the or what is the latest updates that we will be expecting to tip top for
Well,
the roadmap?
I would say in the month of January, although there's only what 11 days left, we're
Yes,
really hoping that Apple approves our app. So I'm hoping that in January or perhaps before the TGE,
yes,
the iOS app is released because I think that would really help us help our
correct.
story. Again, after the day after Valentine's Day is the token generation event for the top token, and that's an important watermark for the project, and we're looking forward to a good result there. We're talking to a bunch of, as I mentioned, exchanges. Cross-listing can sometimes open up arbitrage opportunities that can hurt you.
Yeah,
So you have to be careful because your market making um, can get if there's a distortion, bots fly in. So we're aware of that, and we're doing our best to not fall into that trap. We've been warned about it many, many, many times by market maker friends. Don't be careful doing that stuff. So
yes,
I think there's enough bandwidth in Binance to be able to support us. I mean, in terms of just availability, so it won't melt down, for example, if there's a really big, big, big demand. Uh, because we're on BSC, the gas fees are not going to go insane,
mm-hmm.
which is nice, rather than being on Ethereum. Because if you get a squeeze on gas, it can get awfully expensive, especially if you're going to do a launch in a decentralized fashion. The slippage can really hurt some people trying to enter and exit in terms of just moving value in and out. I've seen that on many, many coin launches. So uh, those are the two that I can reveal. I can sort of tease a couple of other things coming up. We're talking to a major, major, major sports team about sponsoring them. Of course, they have something to do with running around.
Yes,
Um, and we're also talking to athletes who tend to do long endurance type
that's right.
uh,
Mm.
things because we like, we're really mo more suited for the casual walker, jogger, that kind of person. But I think that those people want some inspiration. So pro athlete
Yeah,
and you could say professional athlete
yes,
and what do you call them? Amateur, but peak amateur. So we're talking to people in kind of in those areas. And I mean, if we manage to raise a good amount of funding with the top token, I think that those are going to happen. And that's really exciting because we're going to be associated with a global brand. And it's always nice to have that around. We're
correct.
also planning to launch a bunch of other merchandise on in-game apparel, I would call it. So
Yeah,
we're probably going to, we've already got socks.
mm.
We're going to probably move up the body shorts, shirt. And one of the things
Nice.
I'm thinking about pitching is each person, and one more tease. Um, one of the things that I really think that we should be doing is offering people an opportunity to express themselves as an identity in the metaverse.
Mm.
So we're actually talking to a bunch of different, haven't picked one yet, but we're talking to a bunch of different metaverse operators about exchanging communities, which means that if you become a tip top person, you also get an avatar within this metaverse. So you can actually congregate with other people. Like if you're on it, like Team Luna, like I
Mm,
talked about earlier, you can go and meet at the tip top location in that metaverse
mm,
to hang out. And of course, if we can do that, then I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to look for corporate sponsorships for Team Luna, and the
mm.
merch is going to reflect their sponsorship. And that's just another way of us trying to attract revenue and making everything more sustainable. So there's a real, I call it IRL, IVL crossover here, in real life, in virtual life, or as we're calling it, fitgital,
Yes.
right? That's the
It will into the digital.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there is no visual aspect to our game, and I think that that's really necessary. So we're either going to end up going into a video game area.
Mm,
I would actually much prefer to be in a video game, right, than a metaverse, because the metaverse is still all kind of small, and it's hard to figure out what to do in them. Whereas in the video game world, you know what you can do. Like at
mm,
Minecraft, for example, people
correct.
have people can
Correct.
keep themselves occupied. I remember when I joined Second Life, I just, that was back in 2008 or 2012. And you go into this, I mean, the computer was really slow, the frame
Yes.
rate was terrible. And you just go somewhere and all you ever do is nothing. It was really, really boring. So after, a month of going there and never having anything meaningful happen, you just stop going. People need a reason to be alive in the metaverse. So if you look
Right.
at environments like Ready Player One, the one projected in Ready Player One,
Mm-hmm.
which is really one of my favorite films of all time,
Yeah, watch it
that's
still.
an exciting world. I mean, that's an amazingly exciting world, and you can pick all kinds of just the beginning, the what you could call it the intro reel of the movie when Wade is describing all the things you could do in Oasis. I was
Yeah.
like, plug me in. Where is this thing? Right?
Correct. Take my
Yeah.
money. I want to
Yeah,
get in.
please.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where can I do all that?
Correct.
Hang gliding through a hurricane. Yeah, sure.
Correct. Yes.
Not every day, but wow, that's a lot more exciting than sitting
Yeah.
at my computer,
Yes.
right?
Right.
And I can interact with other people. And there's like death planets and there's nice planets. And oh, it was amazing, right? More fun than Avatar World of Water, right? Way more fun
Yes. Yes.
because you could actually have a little mini avatar so I can't wait for Oasis to show up.
Yeah. Maybe we will be able to see it here in Tip Top. Might be the Oasis.
Well, I mean, what we're going to try and do is give people an in real life application that tracks
Yeah.
their movements with a little tiny window onto Web3. And I think we should extend that little tiny window into expressing yourself in the
Yes.
metaverse with other people who share your interest in a common physical space. It's just that that physical space is virtual.
Yeah.
How we're going to achieve that I mean, VR gear is heavy and clumsy. Immersive environments are expensive. How we're going to do that, I don't know. You look at Neuralink, it's okay. We've got a few at my school. There's really the human machine interface is really the weak link here.
Yeah, it's really great. And I would like to add up regarding on this question about your NFTs and the projects and all. You have
Yeah.
mentioned about the tier. You're more likely focusing on the jogging and walking. Is there
Mm,
what about the NFTs? Is there something that
mm.
have a feature that could add up or anything to the or rewards or to the features on a specific player or
Well, this is going to have to be my final answer because I have another
yes,
call
yes,
that they're actually waiting
yes,
for
yes,
me.
this will be the last question, sorry.
Okay. There are four models currently of shoe. And they're graduated according to speed, your rate of travel. One is casual, which is called a tip topper. And then there's a walker. That's for somebody who's actively walking at a good pace, getting from A to B, not walking around the mall. And then so the senior citizens would probably fall into casual. Uh,
Yeah.
People who are just starting out on their exercise journey would probably be a walker. And then the next one is jogger and runner, of course, right?
Yes.
So what you do with us, as you sign up, you get a premium shoe, which is not any of those four. It's a trainer shoe.
Mm.
It helps you understand us and us understand you. And then after activating it, which takes an hour of walking for 20 days, you get the right to mint a shoe that's right for you. And we start everybody off with the tip topper, which is the slowest rate of travel. Now, if you do that twice, you can merge your tip topper and it becomes a higher level shoe. So you earn twice into our entry level, and then you can move up. And that's kind of how the game works from there. If
Oh.
you want, no, so so you're earning, you can call it sweat equity, literally, right? Sweat
Mm.
equity. Or if you want to go faster, you just plunk some money down and you buy the next shoe up and you're in. And they start off at zero point 0.2 BNB, which is around $50 US.
All right.
So time or money,
So,
it's up to you. It's up to you, totally up to you. Now, if you're very good at creating that first tip topper, you would go on the secondary market and say, they're selling it for zero point 0.2, but I can sell it for 0.18,
yeah.
and bang, now you're monetizing your activity. So that's one way. Now, we wouldn't benefit from that, but we're not looking to benefit from the sale of tip topper. We those those are relatively easy. But if we do a premium shoe that's linked to a celebrity, you're not going to be able to earn your way into that thing. You have to buy it. And that's the one, if I was going to speculate on value, I would certainly be looking at that shoe because it's premium, and it's rare, and it's difficult to get a hold of, and there's only so many, and maybe even time bound, like Air Jordan from a specific period of his career, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
that economy we're very interested in, and I think that the Philippines really understands the value of that economy.
Yes, correct. Because every Filipino is really fascinating on every shoes brands
Yeah.
actually, and some of my friends or colleagues have already read your white paper, how the
Mhm.
tokenomics goes, and they are really excited on the roadmap, on the part where you will be partnering with other brands. So that's something
Mhm.
that they will be looking forward to. And yes, Professor Graham, this is really a very productive evening and very knowledgeable things that we could learn. And we really thank you for your time.
Mhm.
And this project of yours is really promising, very interesting, and something that the community of gamers will gonna look forward to. So I can tell you at the back, all of our community is on the support for this project. So we
Oh,
will just
thank you.
gonna look forward on what the next things on your services or features,
Mhm.
and there's a
Mhm.
lot of our community is also looking forward on the iOS as well. So yes, we will just gonna have it through the roadmap and white paper. We could check everyone. Thank you for our guests for tonight, Jonah Baniel, Yej Incob, Juan Carlos, and the rest. I cannot mention everyone, but thank you for joining us, especially to our special guest, Mr. Graham Leach. Thank you for your time. Sir, I really do hope that this tip top will really be a great success. Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
All
Okay.
right.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.
Have a great evening, sir.
See you.
All right. So, guys, there you have it. You've heard everything from their chief strategy officer, and you can see how amazing their project is. It's not that it's just only on my point of view. The final say here or the final word will be up to you still. So, all you have to do, guys, you can, for those who have missed the first minutes or the minutes that we have started on the discussion of tip top, there's a lot of information that you could really um, dive into. But if you have missed those information, you could just visit their website, the tiptop.io. You could look up into their white paper, the roadmap, the tokenomics, everything is there. And if you do have any other further questions, since TipTop is also a partner of Job&Com, you can drop a message to our page as well. Then we could have that reach to TipTop team. And for those who would like to download the app, you can click the link on this video or this live stream that we have, you could click a link there, download the app, and try to explore what could the future bring you in this industry. And also, there's a link of TipTop regarding on their Discord, their Twitter, and Facebook. Kindly follow them, guys, and you'll be able to know what are the most updated information that you could get from their projects. So, as you've heard, for iOS community there, they are working so hard to have it at least before their TGE release. Alright? So, yes, thank you pala sa mga nag-join sa ating live tonight. Please guys, support Job.com as we will be doing this AMA or live Web3 podcast on next Saturday as well. And we will be having another guest. So follow Job.com. There's a lot of surprises that we are preparing for you. Not only a discussion, but there will be an upcoming tournaments as well, events for our gamers. We are not leaving you behind. The things that we are doing here is also part of the game. So there are new games that we will be exploring together, and this move to earn app, we will gonna move around, sabay-sabay tayong gagalaw-galaw. So, if we will gonna feature in the future this move to earn app, or we're gonna have an activity outside, do join us. We will gonna prepare an activity of that for you. So stay tuned kayo guys. And yes, um, I just would like to thank again the Tip Top team in the presence of Sir Professor Graham. And yes, just a minute. So yeah, so that's all guys for now. We will see you next Saturday again, and we will have another guest. And stay tuned. Yes, thank you very much. There's a lot that parang ano kasi, parang nag-speechless ako sa mga information na na-feed up ko today. So I hope you have a great night, and thank you for joining us here on Trendline. See you next Saturday. Once again, this is Lady Moon, and see you on the next one.